Hi again and welcome to the second part of the chord melody video. All we have left to do now is have a look at the bridge and how we're going to transition into it and how we're going to transition out of it. So let's jump right into it and have a look at the chords first. So the first chord is an A7, but you probably guessed it, we're not going to play it in first position, but we're going to play it up here. So for this chord, start by placing a normal F7. Like you would usually play it in the first 3 frets. And then you put your little finger on the first string, on the A string, in the 3rd fret as well. So now all our strings are covered and we still have an F7. And now you move that whole package as it is into the 5th fret. And then we have our A7 up here. The next chord we need is a D7, and the D7 we're gonna play all the way up here. So for this one, place your index finger as a bar over the entire 5th fret, and then the middle finger goes on the C string in the 6th fret. Now this is the exact same shape as we had for the C7 earlier in the 3rd fret, but this time it's gonna be in the 5th fret. So this is our D7 here. The next one is a G7, and this one we already know. It's like we played it in the first part. So like this, 0, 5, 7, 5. And the last chord we need for the bridge is a C, and we're gonna play it just like that. It's just a ring finger in the 7th fret, and that's all we need to do. All right, I'd say we jump right into locating the melody tones before we do anything else. So let's have a look at the A7 first. We have the melody on the A string again, so we play. So all I do here is move my little finger from the 7th into the 8th fret and back again, and I repeat that. So it's 7, 8, 7, 7, 8, 7. And that's all we do there. Then we jump to the D7, and we immediately gonna need an extra finger to play the melody here, and we're gonna do that with the ring finger in the 7th fret on the A string. So we have the melody here. And we need something like this. That's all we do here, and then we have some empty space there we're gonna fill with some strums later. But all you need to know for now is that we need this thing here. So the ring finger goes into the 7th fret, 5th fret, 7th, and 5th. For the G7, we do this. So I play the chord first as it is, and then I place my little finger into the 7th fret. Now remember that in the first part, when we played the G7, we played the melody in the 8th fret, but this time it is in the 7th fret. So it is just a normal G7 with a little finger in the 7th fret, and take it away again, and then repeat the whole thing. And then all we need to do for the C is just one strum, and then we're gonna fill it later with a little melody rundown. Okay, so maybe just go through this a couple times by yourself. Just repeat it a couple times so the fingers know what they're doing, and then once you're ready, we can have a look at how to strum the chord melody for the bridge. On the A7, it's really straightforward. We're gonna use our normal strum, the down, down, up, up, down, up. So it's gonna be down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So what we do is we move the little finger for the 2nd strum only into the 8th fret, and then back again, and we repeat that. The strum for the D7 is a little bit different. I'm just gonna play it for you once so you know what we are looking at. So first we just have 4 straight downstrokes, alternating between having the melody tone there and not having it there. So it's just, and then we have a small break, and then we do up, down, up, down, up, down, up. The whole thing would be down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Of course, course, you can always count through your bars when you're strumming to really understand where each up and down stroke have to go. But for this section, I'd advise you to just listen to it a couple times and get familiar with the rhythm and how it sounds. And I think it's going to be much easier than counting to it. But just in case, I'm going to count it for you once. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... For the G7, we go back to our normal strumming pattern, and we're going to do what we've been doing a lot now already. So for the second strum only, we're going to place our melody note and then take it away again. So we have... And on the C, we just have this downstroke. There's no chord melody there at this moment. We're going to add something later. Before going into strumming the whole thing together, your hand should already be quite familiar with the chord changes. If you still feel like you have to concentrate a lot when doing these chord changes, I'd say rather go over the chord changes dry a couple of more times before going into the strumming, because that's just going to be stressful otherwise. So let your fingers adjust. This is a weird change from the A7 to the D7 up here immediately with a melody note. That is something we should be really conscious about, that we immediately put all the fingers here, try to keep the movements nice and small and effective. The same goes for the change to the G7. Think of it as a little bit of a rotating motion here. Your thumb turns a little bit in the back like this, and then for the change to the C, you just kind of let your finger fall down onto the A string. What I always do and what I find really helpful is to remind myself to be conscious of my chord changes and of what my fingers are doing. So when you have, for example, the A7 again, already before you change, try to feel the change in your fingers. I know it sounds weird, but just imagine what it is going to feel like. Don't let the fingers go away and then start thinking about where they need to go. Already start thinking about it right here and then, and really feel this motion in your fingers. And then what you can do is to give yourself kind of a countdown. Think of what you're going to do, count down maybe 3, 2, 1, and change. And then try to change as effectively and as small and as quickly as you can. Okay, I think that's all I have to say right now. Let's play the whole thing together a couple of times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we almost made it. Now we just have to look into how we're going to transition into the bridge and how we're going to transition out of it. So when you look at the first part, we end with this little chord progression here. And directly after our last strum, after the last F here, we're going to play a little transition, which sounds like this. For this one, we need our middle finger and our index finger. The middle finger goes in the 2nd fret of the G string, and the index finger goes in the 1st fret of the G string. And we're gonna this time, and this time only in the song, hit mainly the top string. It's okay if the C string is also sounding a little bit, but try to mainly hit the G string. And already place the index finger and the middle finger to where they should go. Then you hit it one time with the middle finger in the 2nd fret. You take the middle finger away, it's just the index finger now, and then put the middle finger there again. So we have 3 downstrokes. And that is it. That's our transition. And then we jump directly to our A7. That is quite a big jump. So try to also do that dry and slowly a couple of times. So the transition from the last chord change in the first part to the bridge would sound like this. play it once very, very slowly for you so you can have that as a mini play along. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can tell even when playing it very slowly, you already need to be really secure in where the fingers are jumping from this little thing down here to the A7 up here. So give yourself time. That's fine if it's difficult in the beginning. I would be very surprised if it wasn't. Okay, now all that is left to do is to learn the transition out of the bridge. Again, I'm gonna play it for you once so you know what is coming. Now the important thing here, because the melody run is not so difficult if you use the right fingers, so really pay attention to what fingers you're using now. So the ring finger is lying in the 7th string at the moment, that's why we had it for the C. Now the little finger goes into the 10th fret, that's where the next dot is. And leave the ring finger where it is right now, because we're going to need it again in just 1 second. Now just pluck the A string, just with the 10th fret with the little finger. Then we remove the little finger, we have the ring finger in the 7th fret. And now the middle finger goes into the 3rd fret. Then the index finger goes into the 1st fret. Then we have the empty A string. And then the middle finger, or it's really not so important anymore what finger we use for that one. I use the middle finger, goes on the E string in the 3rd fret. Let's have a quick look just at the frets. So when we strum the C, we automatically play our first note of the rundown, and from there it is then 10, 7, 3, 1, 0, and 3 on the E string. And let's do the same thing, having a look at the fingers. So we have for the strum, the ring finger, then it is little finger, ring finger, middle finger, index finger, no finger, and then a finger of your choice, maybe the middle finger. So the last little thing I like to add is exactly what we did in the first video, exactly in this break. All we did there is we added a few extra strums that lead back to the F. For that I just keep the last position I was in when playing this little rundown, and I add the extra strums just with this formation here. So it would be up, down, and then we're back to the F. To understand what I'm talking about, especially if you weren't here for the first video, I'm just going to count through the rundown once, and I think that's going to make it really clear. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. So all I do here is up, down. Okay, for another mini play along, I'm also going to play this rundown very, very slowly one time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I think we covered all the parts now, so everything that's left to do is to put all the pieces together and to play through the entire song together. Thank you so much for playing along with me. I hope I explained everything adequately, and I hope you get something out of this. So let's play through the entire chord melody arrangement. And if you did video number 1 with the basics and the verses, what you can do after this is to play around with making your own little arrangement, your own little running order of the song. So maybe start with singing a verse and sing one of the choruses, then play an instrumental chorus and play the chord melody, then sing the second verse, or whatever you feel like. You can then really start playing with the song. Again, if you have questions, please write me anytime, and let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
but